I guess if you start us off with a couple opening comments about your thoughts on the season, then we'll take some questions.
Just really excited to get started. You know that we're not going to forget about football season just because we're having basketball media day, but they don't want us to. But certainly just feel really good about what we've been able to do in the preseason. Guys are working unbelievably hard. We finished up conditioning this morning, and now it's time to get on the court here soon and really get to work with these guys. We've been working in small groups for a month and a half now, and I'm anxious to see how our guys pick up our philosophy of what we're trying to do. We'll see where that takes us. Questions?
What has been the biggest surprise for you out of the group of returning players that you have?
Biggest surprise, hard to say again because we haven't done anything in a full team setting, and I think because of that you don't always understand or you don't see how guys interact with each other. It's one thing to go shoot shots and all that, but it's another thing to do it in live play. The attitude of our players has been very good, so I don't know that that's surprising, but it's something that is very positive. They've been very good about working. They've been very good about being coachable. We haven't fought them at all on any of the ideas of what we're trying to do. In terms of anybody that's a surprise more than anybody else, I don't. If I had to pick one, it might be Bobo, just from the standpoint of, I think in listening to people talk and obviously looking at his stats, there's almost like no expectation for the guy. He basically hasn't played for 2 years. And I've done some things in terms of getting with our strength coach and talking to him about how I feel it's important that Bobo improve in that area immensely. And he's put on weight, and that's been a big goal of ours. He's up to 255, which I think is a must. And you know what? He's worked really hard, and I don't know what that's going to lead to yet, but I think he's a guy that I've got to imagine is going to play for us this year, and I don't think a lot of people maybe saw that coming.
For the past 4 years, Trevor Booker has been the guy that stepped up in big moments. Do you think it's going to take a while for this guys to say, hey,
you know what? It could be. I think that's the, players all want that opportunity. And sometimes a lot of players feel like they deserve it when they haven't earned it. Our guys are in the position right now where they're going to get the opportunity. DeMontis Stitch certainly has earned that right and needs to be a good player for us. Needs to be a guy who elevates his game to become one of the better players in our league. Somebody else is going to have to join him for us to have success. Who that will be, we're not 100% sure. Will it take some time for that to happen? It probably will, especially with a new coach and a little bit of a new system. Some guys will probably have to figure out exactly what we're trying to do. But I do think we have some guys that want to try to step up and be the guy. But sometimes that's more difficult than the players even understand.
How quickly do you expect the players to adapt your style, and how important is that for them to get a quick learning curve into your system after what they've been through the last 4 years in Coach Brownell's style? Yeah,
I think the offense will be more difficult because it'll be more complicated than maybe what they've done in the past. And sometimes when you have great players, like when you have a Trevor Booker, you don't have to be as complicated. The more better players you have, the simpler you can be and still be successful because you've got really good players. I think when you maybe aren't as talented, you've got to find ways to manufacture baskets in basketball. That's the difference. It's like in football, it's like having a playmaker that he can make the same catch and break a tackle and take it to the house. Some other guys can't do that. In basketball, it's the same way in terms of creating a shot, or you put a guy in a position with the ball and he's just good enough to score. It'll take a little longer because we're going to have to be a little more complicated offensively because I don't know that we have as many of those kind of guys in the program right now. Some of those guys will emerge. We have to coach some of those guys up, and hopefully that will happen. Defensively, there shouldn't be as much. There'll be a change in terms of how far out we pressure and different kinds of things, but it shouldn't be as much of a challenge for them. They should be able to pick that up quicker. And we'll be very demanding on that end of the floor.
You mentioned manufacturing baskets. Is it too early to tell who the best scorers could be?
I mean, DeMontez, I would certainly assume is one. We need somebody inside to emerge. Hopefully, you know, Devin Booker is a logical candidate in terms of having some physical tools. He just hasn't had a lot of game experience. You know, he's got to learn to play through things. You know, Andre Youngs of the world, Tanner Smiths of the world. I don't think we're just going to have you know, 3 guys that are going to start averaging 15 points a game. I don't see that happening. But I think we're going to have a lot of guys that can get 8 to 12 to maybe one guy getting 15 or whatever, and we'll see what happens. But then again, haven't really worked with these guys in a setting to see how they adjust to 5-on-5. We haven't done any of that yet.
Right. Brad, have you challenged Dre at all to just kind of step it up?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know if challenge, just more of talking to him and hoping that he understands that this is his last go around and appreciates the opportunity he's going to have as a senior here to you know, put his name on the program for his career. And Jere's done well. I mean, he's in better shape. He's bigger and stronger. He's another guy I think that's benefited by our maybe a little bit more physical nature. I think we've asked him to gain weight. He's up to 228, a little bit bigger and stronger. You know, he's a guy though that benefited tremendously by Trevor. He was given a lot of, you know, passes for dunks, and he got a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks because guys were double teaming Trevor. Now he's got to elevate his game and be good enough to now go get his own basketball off. And I think hopefully he'll be ready to do that.
This team really missed, I think, Oglesby and Casey Rivers as guys who could stretch the floor last season. Do you think you're going to have guys who can improve from the perimeter and add that element?
Yeah, shooting will be the question mark. I mean, it's not something when we're doing some of our shooting drills and comparing those numbers to some of the numbers of guys I had making the same shots or taking the same shots. We probably aren't as good as some of the guys I've had at other places yet. But I think some of our guys will certainly improve. I don't know that we'll be one of the better shooting teams in the ACC, but we have to shoot the ball reasonably well to have a chance to win. And our guys understand it, our coaches understand it, and that's why we put a lot of time and effort into that in September.
I think the freshman class last year came in with a lot of hype and everything. Do you think the greatest improvement usually happens between first and second year, and what kind of growth can, I guess,
I think the
Clemson
greatest,
Nation expect
yeah,
from those 4 guys?
Well, I think the thing that is great for those guys is that they're going to have opportunity. You know, as a young player, sometimes players want to act like coaches aren't letting them do all the things they can do, or they don't get the opportunity to be on the court as much as they want. I think if you would have asked every one of those kids at the end of last year, they all would have said they wanted to play more, probably should have played more. You know, and looking at what Coach Purnell did, I would say that Coach Purnell was probably right. He played the guys that he thought was going to win, and it's usually 7 or 8 guys, and those guys won a lot of games. And but the opportunity for those guys now to shine is there. If they're not playing, if they're not getting things done, it's going to be on them, because there's not as many other guys around. You only have 11 scholarship players, and those guys are all, they've been here, they've been through the years, the wars of the ACC, they've played enough to have their opportunity. Now they're going to get their opportunity. It's up to them to make the most of it.
Do you think Milton's going to have a chance in your style of offense to kind of shine a little bit more than he did with Coach Brownell?
Oh, you know, whether it's the style of offense or not, maybe, but you know, I think Milt will certainly have a chance to play out on the court, which we do a lot in our motion, and he'll have chances to be moving throughout the possession, which is probably good for him. You know, I hope he's ready to handle that and ready to I think he's excited by the opportunity. You know, again, whether these guys are ready to do it or not, I don't know. Again, that's more on them. They're going to have to be ready. We're going to practice them hard and put them in positions, and then they've got to be good enough to do what they've got to do to finish plays.
You said over the summer they worked unbelievably hard.
Well, I think they work
compared to other teams you've had. Or
I just think, in terms of what they've been asked to do, in terms of strength training and conditioning, they've done more this off season than maybe they've done in the past here. And I think they've worked really hard compared to a lot of the other teams I've coached at a very good level. Our strength coach, Preston Green, is outstanding. And he and I got together immediately, and one of the differences between Coach Purnell and I, Coach Purnell definitely wanted long, thin, or he wasn't as concerned with size and physical size as he was with their movement. And I just think with our style of play, you need to be physically stronger. And there were several guys in the program that, in my opinion, were underweight, not as strong as they needed to be. And so we've made weightlifting and eating and putting on weight, we've made that even more of a priority. And I think they've done a good job of, guys like Bobo and Jure have done a good job of doing that. And we're optimistic that'll help them a little bit in our style of play.
It suggests a more physical kind of presence?
I think so. I think this team has to play with an inside presence because we have 4 guys that are 6'8" or bigger. We have to play with some inside presence. You know, and because we don't shoot the ball quite as well as some other teams, we're going to have to get the ball into the block and score. Those guys are going to have to score, get fouled, and have to make some free throws. And you know, that's not that much different than what they've done in the past because you had Trevor Booker down there. So it won't be distinctly different, but it's going to have to be another